Josh Harris, I'm the Vice President of Public Engagement at the Obama Foundation. We're building the Obama Presidential Center, which is slated to open next spring in 2026. Yeah, okay, yeah. We're located on the south side of Chicago. I've been with the foundation for almost 4 years now. I oversee all of our community impact work, tourism, government affairs, and community engagement, and grateful to be here.
I love it. I am so excited to be here. Amanda has been opening doors for me as an advisor and a cheerleader for forever. And I've been following her story even before my journey into entrepreneurship when Bamboo first started. So it's such a privilege. My name is Johnny Turnage. I'm one half of the co-founders of Black Tech Saturdays. And we started still about 2.5 years ago as 5 people meeting in conference rooms. And to date, we've had about 30,000 people come to our gatherings, meetups, and workshops. And it is such an honor to be here in Grand Rapids.
All right. So, Johnny, I feel like we've are kindred spirits.
Yes.
We hit it off even this morning, grabbing breakfast when we did a little prep session. But we have a lot of through lines in our life, in professional life, and so on. And we're both organizers.
Yes.
We both have done voter registration, although he did it much younger. I did it in my adult life. He was a 12-year-old kid registering voters, which is very intimidating. So take me back to Johnny, the 12-year-old kid whose mom gave him a job, or told him rather that he should do this as a job. Take me back to that time frame and before Black Tech Saturdays, before this.
Yeah, no, this is fun. Not many people get to know about the spark that started. I was that kid that was in every kids care club that you could join. And then one day my mom said, "You're not quite doing enough." She got me involved with voter registration. And this is right around the 2007 beginning of Obama's campaign. And if you don't know, the energy was palpable. When you're going door to door in neighborhoods in Detroit and Metro Detroit, people were really excited. And that's when I really cut my teeth in people letting me know what it's like to not have access, what it means when they couldn't vote, and honestly, how important it was. I was 12. I wasn't going to be able to vote that election, but it really inspired me to figure out what change looks like and the power of people. And I think at that time, not many people thought the ceiling could be broken. But since then, I think Obama has inspired me to dive deeper in the organizing journey. And it's really what sparked some of my curiosity in tech. I was 12. When you're the young guy in a nonprofit, anything digital, they just throw at you. So I not only got to do voter registration, but I learned to work the database to cut turf in neighborhoods to figure out which neighborhoods we needed to go increase voter registration to get people more involved. And that's where the curiosity and spark began. And I'll say, when you fast forward, when Obama won, I got so many calls from church leaders, neighborhoods who were like, "We did it. You did it. You elected the president." And I was like, I don't know if I did it, but since then, it's kept me on this journey to say, I think asking the question a lot of us ask ourselves, how can we go further up the stream? How can I do a little bit more? And that brings me to this. Josh.
Oh, my turn.
Yes. This is the fun part. So if we press rewind on your life, long before the renderings, the crane, before the Obama Presidential Center became real, who were you as a young person? And was there a moment in your childhood when the world showed you something that made you say, I want to spend my life building places that help people believe again?
Yeah. So I always talk about, I'm the oldest of 4, and originally from Houston, Texas, and somehow made it H-Town, and somehow made it to the Midwest, living in Chicago, bearing the brutal winters. But my youngest sister, Mackenzie, she is autistic, and growing up, I saw the challenges my parents and she faced with the educational system, with trying to get her the adequate resources and tools necessary to just get a basic education. And I saw the disparities and inequities in the systems, and didn't know a lot, but I did know that wasn't right, that there should not be a premium to send a kid to a private institution just to get adequate education based on their own, I would say, differences. And so, you know, I think that was a pivotal moment for me where I said, you know what, I want to be in this world where I can impact and bring about change for other people at a systems level. And so I didn't have it all quite figured out, as many of us don't at that age. And so I went to college. I was gonna, go to law school. It's like, I'm gonna be a lawyer. Maybe I could get this. Maybe I could be an advocate through the legal system and so on. And something dawned on me that I wanted to be a part of President Obama's campaign. This was 2007, same thing, 2007, 2008. And actually quit my job working for the U.S. Attorney's Office, because again, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a prosecutor, quit that job, became a volunteer with Organizing for America, and advocated for healthcare in the state of Louisiana, which is, it's fun. It was fun. I learned a lot. But that's where I cut my teeth in organizing. And I think what I learned and what I carry with me today is the focus on people, that people just need to be heard. People need sort of a person who can advocate, organizations who can advocate for them. And that's why I'm continuing on this journey with the Obama Foundation.
Ours.
So back to you, Johnny. So your story begins in the same organizing tradition that shaped President Obama, my boss. So you've been a part of My Brother's Keeper Alliance, the White House. When you think about those moments and the people who shaped you, what part of your upbringing, your ancestors, or your community were you carrying with you into each step of that journey?
Oh, 100%. For those who don't know, Obama started his organizing career at the Gamaliel Foundation. When I was 18, I went to week-long training because that 12-year-old got the bug. And when I was sitting in there and they said Obama went through this training, I kind of thought they were just trying to tell me it was important. I didn't really take them serious until you go further in the work and you start to learn about the history. And now we're here. That's summer 2012. Now it's 2013. Obama launches his My Brother's Keeper initiative, where he's pointing to the data and the numbers on why Black males are being left behind. And I think for that, there was a challenge put on me by my boss to go, what are you going to do about this, Johnny? And I was like, I'm like 19. I don't think I can. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And that's when it gets back down to the organizing and the cutting of the teeth, because I was really inspired. I didn't know what to do. So I started having clergy meetings. And I started sitting with pastors and I started sitting with elected officials and going, so here are problems. We see that because of these problems, it's impacting families. What can we do? And the people who inspired me most, there was a pastor who told me, you're a young kid, they're probably not going to follow you and you dress a little weird. So he took me to the Salvation Army, got me a couple suits, and we built a clergy caucus. And we probably had at the peak, probably about 100 clergy coming together to talk about what was going on with the men in the community and what could we do. And that moment shaped me because it forced me to both mature up, but it really taught me a lot about like the importance of identifying a problem, pointing to the data, and going up the stream. Because of the My Brother's Keeper initiative, I wrote my first ever grant and got support from the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. And that took me to the White House, where we started having policy conversations on what can we do to make sure this problem gets local, to make sure we move the needle. And honestly, this is where it's a good bridge. It's what kept Alexa meeting with me. Some of you have heard we met on a plane, but when we met and she told me I was maybe too young and inexperienced, we would have strategy sessions around what should we do about Campaign for Black Male Achievement work. Because she went to a massive mega church and had these huge men's breakfasts. And I was like, all right, you guys have something figured out. Maybe you can teach me what you're doing because I don't know. And I think of specifically Reverend Sidney C. Griffin over on the east side near Pershing High School. If you're not familiar with, you should be. A lot of greats have come from there. He put me in his car and took me door to door and pulled all the clergy together. It's like, here's who we're supporting. And on my journey, some of those same clergy, whenever it's time for me to take on a challenge, I actually go sit with them. They have something called Breakfast Club, and it's just a council of clergy who talk about policy and problems. and they have reinforced it. But even when we were starting Black Tech Saturdays, I was like, well, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be. I'm probably going to need a little help. And they have been there. We've seen it. We've done church activations. They prayed over us, and they've sent leaders, and they've really helped us make sure we keep what we're building as we grow anchored in community and reminding us the kind of the purpose of it all.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Clap for that. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. But taking it back to Josh, the world has been hearing that you, the Obama Foundation, you're building something extraordinary on the south side of Chicago. I know I'm really excited for it. The museum, the forum, the new public library branch, the athletic center on 19.3 acres. How do you see this campus connecting back to President and Mrs. Obama's belief that ordinary people can come together and create extraordinary change?
Well, so interesting fact, the president, when he was in the White House, said that he could have a bigger impact in his post-presidency life than all 8 years in the White House. Think about that. Most powerful person in the world said, I can have a bigger impact after I leave the White House. And that's what the vision was for this center. He was the first digital president, so he got to reimagine what a presidential library or center could be, because most of his archives are native digital. So we didn't have to worry about boxes of paper and storage and so on. So we are a 501c3, 100% privately funded. We don't take any federal or public dollars. And what he said was a couple things. One, how do we create a space for civic participation, a place where people can come from all ideologies, walks of life, to build a more inclusive democratic culture? That's our mission. So he wants this to be a place, he didn't want it to be a shrine, a kind of homage to the past, trip down memory lanes. We'll do that too with some of the exhibits, but he wanted people to go to the center to reflect on the historic significance of his election and presidency, but also think about what you can do in your own respective neighborhoods and communities to bring about change. And so as Johnny said, the entire presidential center is completely different. We are on the south side of Chicago. We're in Woodlawn. We are in an area that has been historically disinvested. And part of the reason why he wanted it there is because he wanted to give back to a community that's given so much to him. But for the south side, but for Chicago, where he got his start organizing, he would not obviously ascend to the highest office in the world. And so, this is a place where we'll have a museum tower. We're going to have world-class art. We have Chicago Public Library branch. We have a 300-seat auditorium. We have we have a restaurant and cafe, and that model is different. We partner with a local chef who stick around for Chef Cliff Rome, who'll be here at 4 o'clock, just plugging him. But he's a chef out of Bronzeville, and we partnered him up with Bon Appetit, and he is putting together our menu and for our restaurant. We have Home Court, the athletic center, where we will have programming for young people. We are partnering with local organizations to bring their programs onto our campus. And so, this is a place for change makers. It's a place for all of you to come visit, because I know you're going to come visit, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But not just visit and take some pictures and take a brochure, but when you go back to your cities, when you go back to your towns, you can think about what can you do as an individual to bring about change. It doesn't have to be big. I think that's often what we instill in particularly some of the young people that we work with in our programs. It's something small. Go volunteer. Pick an organization that you like and volunteer. Start there. It can be anything. And yes, we still need big change makers, but change starts small and then hopefully evolves.
100%. First, 100%. I mean, we started as 5 people in a conference room, so change definitely always starts small.
Yeah. So Johnny, but when we had breakfast this morning, I did not know you've done a lot in your life. So voter registration to being a part of labor to obviously, the tech that you're involved in now. So you've gone from knocking the doors in the labor movement to building one of the most exciting Black tech ecosystems in the country. So was there a moment when you were afraid? And how did you move through that fear to build Black Tech Saturdays into an institution that tells people you belong here?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I gotta answer this really honestly. I am actively a big fraidy cat. I am terrified of a lot of things. I think fear is a survival skill. I grew up in some interesting neighborhoods, raised by a single mother, and fear is a barometer for me. But my mom told me I didn't really have an option to be fearful because I was the oldest, and so I have to hit it on the thing. So a part of how I sit with that is I make a list of everything I'm afraid of, everything that could go wrong, and I just sit and make my peace with it. Personally, I am 100% comfortable that Johnny Turnage will fail. But Black Tech Saturdays kind of changed things. It's the first time that I've built something so large, not 100% attached to an institution, which means Johnny Turnage's failure is not Johnny Turnage's failures. It's about the community. And I think when I think about how we challenge that, it's been how do we scale Black Tech Saturdays from being attached to specifically Johnny and or Alexa, but what does it mean to redefine that Black and brown people belong in the tech ecosystem, we succeed in it, and our stories have cadence, and thinking about what infrastructure do we need to make sure that that can happen beyond us. It's forced me to get really, really focused on how we automate. And honestly, just like I have my pastor's councils, I have a lot of different mentors, and I listen to everything they say. Let me say this. I'm a big movie fan. How many people have seen Planet of the Apes? All right, as you know, Caesar is one of the great leaders in Planet of the Apes. And one thing I've always admired about that movie is they depict a style of decision-making that I think leaders have to go through, where Caesar listens to every single person's opinion. He doesn't inherently do what any one person does, but he takes the time to use that listening by counsel. And I listen to the institutions, I listen to our communities, I listen to the people who will be impacted by the work. And I try to make sure we walk an interesting line that can have the most possible impact. And, of course, of all those people, I talk to my wife and go, well, if we're going to take a risk, it's going to look like this. Here's the upside, here's the downside. But I think the world might be better if we take this swing, because this swing will be better for the community and not yourself. And I think when you anchor yourself in our work, similar to how I think Obama anchored it is, it's not inherently how big we make BTS. It's, did we move the needle to change what belonging looks like? Did we make sure that when we think of things like the Midwest Summit, we're having this conversation to connect the east and west side of Michigan to talk about resources? Are we talking about who isn't in the room? And that's really how I anchor in the fear. I've got great mentors. You got Doug Song in the front row. He doesn't like to be called out, but talking to Doug and talking to others like Doug, talking to founders and hearing their pain. I got Asha from Trip Slip, who I can think of a time last year where Asha told me about some things going on with family and life. And I'm like, those moments ground me in both fear and recognizing entrepreneurship is a crazy journey. You're navigating a jungle in the dark. And because of that, we are all sometimes having our biggest success and biggest failures and having to walk through it like you just walk through the door and keep going. And I think when you embrace it, that's a part of the journey. You realize that the personal growth of it all is the fun part, and it's just kind of hidden fear in the face over and over and over again. Whew. All right. I love this. I love this. Josh.
Yeah, step my game up.
Jeez. The Obama Foundation is centered around partnerships, lifting up community organizations, businesses, activists, and leaders who are already doing the work. From your perspective, what does it look like for the foundation to truly support people on the ground? And how do you decide which partnerships to nurture, which networks to connect, and how to ensure the energy of the Obama Presidential Center empowers communities on the South Side and beyond?
Yeah. So it starts with identifying and working with organizations that align with our values. We're a values-based organization. We're not going to deviate from our values. Our mission is to inspire the next generation of leaders. It's to empower and connect change makers to bring about change in this world. And so what we're trying to do is, I think it starts with local community first. What I appreciate about the foundation and the work that we've done to date is that we've never lost the idea that we need to be in community with people, to listen, to learn, to understand the needs of our local neighbors. And so when we form partnerships, it is aligning with organizations that help us essentially elevate their work. We would like to say that we're one of the most powerful conveners because of the name on the door, and so it's true. Yes. And so we like to bring organizations together so we can uplift and empower them and amplify the great work that they're already doing. So when you look at our programs like My Brother's Keeper Alliance or Girls Opportunity Alliance, which are designed to uplift boys and young women of color wherever they are. There are organizations on the ground who are already doing that work. There are organizations who are in the Chicago public school system who are aligned with that work. And so we partner with them. And so we bring them into our family, if you will, providing them the tools and resources they need so that they can expand. And so when we talk about partnerships, in some, it is about aligning with our values, not deviating from it. And we look at how can we help uplift the work that you're doing.
Oh, I love that. That values alignment is so important. I think when you think about businesses that scale really well, when you think about things that go far, heck, the fact that we're sitting in Bamboo, it is literally the definition of value alignment and like creating a space for people who have shared values to come together and do great things.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, again, his response is better than mine. Look at this. Ted, what'd you do to me? So Black Tech Saturdays is helping turn the tide on disinvestment in Detroit, shifting access to tech, capital, opportunity, and ownership. Movements don't start with strategy, they start with pain. Was there a moment, personal or communal, that made you say, never again, I have to build something that changes the story for us?
Yeah. Oof, man. I don't know where we got these questions. It's really deep. I love it. I love it.
Gee, I have no idea.
So when I think about that, I plus one that. Movements are definitely built in pain. And I think I open with a quote that we probably already heard. The people who are closest to the pain have to be in the best seat of power to do something about it. If they don't have that privilege, if they don't have the ability, we're not going to solve it. And I think about the lessons that I've learned when tech, and I think about probably 3 matchsticks that I say led to, I guess, doing something about Black Tech Saturdays. And because Doug is here, I'm going to start with one and some quotes that he left with me. It is March of 2023, before the first BTS, and we're on a Zoom call, and Doug gave me a quote, which I later figured out where it came from, but I'm going to say it here. The opposite of the opposite of poverty is not wealth, it's justice. I'm going to say it all again. The opposite of poverty is not wealth, it's justice. And when I think about what justice is, when I think about like tech and like that matchstick, for me, it was a moment to realize that
something went wrong. Please try again.
I'm not an Apple person, so using that for there. But I think
And this is the tech guy.
Tech guy already messing up the iPad. But I think about what justice meant, and I think about what that looks like for Detroit, and the reality that in Detroit neighborhoods, 6 tech salaries could turn the narrative of a neighborhood. The median income in Detroit is $32,000 to $39,000. Yet the starting tech salary at most companies is putting you closer to 80 to 100K. What that does in Detroit to move milestones. And this is before we think about what does it mean to have a true unicorn exit in Detroit. And I started to realize that there was something that I'm like, oh, we're all missing. Tech is an avenue to get justice like no one's else. And Doug broke it down and it sounded in a much more familiar organizer language to me. But then I think about the story we all know. Myself and Darren Riley were meeting inside of New Lab in Michigan Central that was under construction. And what most people don't know is both of us were 2 broke founders building, trading skills. Like, Darren, I'm gonna help you do this organizing thing because I see a path for Just There, and he's helped me with some development things. And then we realized there were other founders who were texting, like, oh, we should come in. And I was like, wait, where do people work on Saturday? Where do they go? And then why are we having such huge milestones? Why are people coming and having transformative journeys? And then it's like, oh, we don't show up. And I think about this this last moment where it's February of 2023. We partner with the Michigan Founders Fund, and we have our Black History Month celebration in the middle of a crazy ice storm. Truth be told, we probably could have canceled the event, but I get really stubborn, and weather means nothing to me. I think we can change it. But we have over 100 people show out in an ice storm, and it was the most bright and colorful meeting. And some of the founders who I see kicking butt for the first time, I saw them seen. And when I felt those stories, I realized there are people who've been building much longer than me. In truth, I quit my job July of 2022. I am much newer to the entrepreneur ecosystem than it may seem, but there are people who've been building, and I don't think they ever got the flowers they deserve. Some of the inspiration I saw Sergio here earlier was that year we had 6 Black and brown founders win Google for startups in Michigan. And I was like, it's like mum's the word. Why is it always crickets when we win? We fight so hard to get to those milestones, and no one says, well, damn, they did it. And those things I started to take really personal, and I don't think she's here. But shortly after that, Ashley Williams and I started talking. And I realized Ashley had been building in the Detroit ecosystem for 8 years. And I learned she had never got any investment, any support. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. But every ecosystem builder I talked to wasn't actually aware of her story. And I was like, at the very least, by default, if you've shown up enough times, somebody should at least know your name. And then not enough people knew our names. And that's what really took it from, I think, a personal decision I made with Alexa. And I said, well, as you know, we were headed to Houston. We had packed up. When I quit my job, I was like, I got a plan. I got this much runway, but I have to go here to make this work. And I'm really big on my plans and charts. If you ever whiteboarded with me, I do plan in a weird way, but it works out. A lot of it might be manifesting, but it does. And I said, we have to put that on ice, and we have to give this a year. If we do a year of this BTS programming, if things have not gotten better, we can go. But if they have, we have to have a different conversation. And I think that pain point is both my own, but in that year of time, I got to hear thousands of stories. I do a lot of one-on-ones. And when you hear people running out of money as a business, they're getting shut down, they're having their biggest wins, they're getting evicted. When you hear all of that and you realize, but technically the resources exist. They do. There are people who want to help, and maybe people don't know about them. That cumulative effect, those pains, that avalanche said, let's just do the damn thing and see what happens. And will the world be better as a result of what we do? And I have to say, seeing some of my favorite friends get big checks and get win, and when seeing this place open, seeing this very room here has let me know that, like, we're definitely changing the tide. Michigan is moving the mountains. Midwest is becoming a different destination. It's not just the coast. It is all of us and the very belief to say, we feel a pain and we can do the damn thing. My gosh.
It's a good line for life. Let's just do the damn thing. Yeah.
Okay, Josh, you talked about how the Obama Foundation is turning the tide on economic disinvestment on the South Side through partnerships like Emerald South, the Shared Purchasing Network. I want you to actually list some of these. For people who may not know the depth of the work, why was pairing the Obama Presidential Center with real economic development so essential? And what does the foundation hope these investments will mean for families and neighborhoods in the years to come?
Yeah. So the idea is that this investment, this $1 billion+ economic investment on the South Side, has a ripple effect to the surrounding neighborhoods. And we realized that we couldn't do it alone. So we partnered with the city of Chicago, the University of Chicago, and others to form Emerald South Economic Development Collaborative. And they're charged, it's led by Guion Foreman, the CEO, they're charged with bringing investment to the South Side that benefits the residents around the Obama Presidential Center. So even when you think about the model and how we came to be, our construction project, it's been different. It's been, how do we ensure that people who typically don't get a bite at the apple get this opportunity? So we formed a joint venture called Lakeside Alliance, bringing together 4 Black construction firms under Turner Construction Those 4 Black construction firms are the 51% majority owner in that consortium. And so they're building our campus. Athletic Center has a separate builder. BOA Construction is a partnership with AECOM Hunt, one of the largest African-American design firms in the country. BOA Construction, African-American firm out of Chicago. And then when you look at our workforce, again, we formed a consortium called We Can Build It, bringing together workforce partners from around the region to diversify the construction trades industry. And so when it comes to women and other people of color in the construction trades industry, we created pre-apprenticeship programs to give them the resources and education they need to have careers in the construction industry beyond our project. And so even now, as we think about when the center opens next year, and we have to hire a sizable amount of people to come work on our campus, we're partnering with local organizations to make sure that we're hiring from the neighborhood, hiring from the south and west sides of Chicago, and giving people an opportunity to have a career with us. And so I think that is embedded in what we do. Everything that we do is how do we make sure that people who are often overlooked get a look.
I love it. I think that's, I think the intentionality around there is the important part. I've learned a lot when you're in a position to build or make a decision. We can all make choices to make sure we include many at the table. We expand the circle as much as possible, and we build those kind of coalitions for that ripple effect. And I'm quite excited. So we are here at our last question, and this is going to be fun. Oh, wait.
Oh, it's my turn.
I know.
Yeah,
I was like,
wait. You're breaking the script, man. So, Johnny, you've gone from being inspired by Senator Obama, President Obama, Senator Obama at the time when you met him, to walking into the White House under President Obama because of my brother's Kiefer, to sitting here as someone carrying the next chapter of that legacy. So what has this journey taught you about who you are, and what truth do you know for sure now that you didn't know at the beginning?
So I think I have to go ahead and start this in my most Obama fanboy as possible, that we are the people we have been waiting for. It's just the truth that I've learned about myself, I've learned on this journey. And truth be told, the journey has really taught me it's about how you can endure. It has a lot more to do with your pain tolerance, your resilience through the hard parts. All of us have had, I love him. How many people have had a sleepless night as an entrepreneur? Oh, good. If you're every sleepless night, every moment when you're looking at that account and you're going, man, that number is much lower than it needs to, I have to make something happen. All of those pieces are a part of it. And I think you've survived this far. It might always seem like it's going to kill you. It might always seem like it's the hardest thing, but stealing another Doug quote, entrepreneurship is a personal growth journey, and it does take all of us getting together. And I've been immersed around so many people who are doing tremendous things as entrepreneurs, as builders, as activists. And honestly, I borrow a lot of strength from that collective pain. And it's really taught me we can endure a lot more, but when you can endure the number of failures, you might have to start a couple different businesses before it hits. Earlier this year, I think Doug told me it took him 30 years to build a unicorn. And when I put that in perspective, I was like, man, we should all give ourselves a lot more grace. 30 years is a lot more time there, but that's a lot of learning. And what it's really taught me is patience, I think humility. I have a much greater love than I thought for community. I spent some time as a grassroots organizer, and I was inspired. And all of my work taught me how to do it tactfully like a scientist. But there is something different when you really get to building the plane in the sky and you're in that free fall of, but I have to take the path of least resistance. And what it's taught me is there's an enormous amount of talent and energy and support out there. And if we can build it and if we can share it, you can really see some flames come back to life. It's taught me how to be very inspired. And honestly, to try to love like my wife. I know she's not up here on the stage, but I literally said last year that the success of BTS and anything we build is if we can scale the kind of love that that woman has And if we can put that into an institution and scale that, we might just change the world. So what it has taught me is sometimes I might think I know everything I'm doing, but truth be told, I probably don't. And all I really need to do is just listen to really, really smart people, especially Alexa.
Man, either you're trying to get out of the doghouse or that's sweet.
Initially Alexa wasn't going to be available today, but she was going to join us for this fireside chat. So you would have been loving it. But when I saw her, I was like, I gotta +1 her. So Josh, closing us out, you spent years helping shepherd the Obama Presidential Center from vision to reality, working with residents, government leaders, partners, and teams across the foundation. In doing this work, what have you learned about yourself, and what do you hope young people will say about who they and what do you hope young people say about who they are and who they can become when the center opens its doors in 2026?
What a way to end. Wow. So what I've learned about myself is that we can do hard things.
Yes.
I've never built a presidential, not actually built it, but never been a part of an organization that is building a presidential center. I often pinch myself because I'm in meetings about topics that I've never been a part of before. I was in a meeting about our ticketing system and how we're gonna come up with ticket pre-sales, and like, why are you asking me? I don't know, but we can all rise to that occasion and rise to the challenge to meet the moment, because this is a pretty big moment. And I think in particular with young people, I'll give an example of a program that we have. It's called the Future Series. It's a partnership with Hyde Park Academy. It's a high school literally across the street from the Presidential Center. And the idea behind it is, how do we introduce and expose those young people to people and stories that, but for us, they would not know about. So obviously, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And so we've taken those young people to Hallis Hall. I don't know if we have any Bears fans. I know I'm in Michigan, but where the Bears practice, not to just see the players, but to meet with the C-suite executives who run the operations and learn from them about their journeys. We've taken them to Mael Organics, who are the owners of Hyde Park Academy graduates, to see their facility, to understand how they became entrepreneurs and became this international, incredible story of people who are bringing about change in the hair care product industry. We obviously bring people to them. We partner with McDonald's and a host of others. Again, introducing these young people to individuals and stories to say, hey, you can do this too. You can be this too. This is how you do it. And so when I think about young people coming to our campus, I want them to feel welcome. I want them to feel that this is a place for them. Another story really quick. So we do these hard hat tours, and we bring community members in and stakeholders in just to give previews. And there was one particular tour where we were going around one of the floors, and this woman was just in tears. And, I'm like, oh my God, does she have construction dust in her eyes or something? What's going on? But I looked at her and said, hey, everything okay? And she goes, I never thought we would have something this nice on the south side of Chicago. And so you often hear stories about particularly young people who don't have the opportunity to see other parts of the city. There are people on the south and west sides of Chicago that have never been to downtown. They've never been into a cultural institution. Myriad of reasons why, but what I hope is that those young people feel that they can come to this campus and they know what a nice facility is, and they can be a part of that. And so at the end of this, when it's all said and done, I want them not just to be on our campus, but to be a part of our programs. We have leadership development programs. I want to see them go through that journey with us. And some of you are leaders here. Go to obama.org. We have our leadership development programs that are online right now for applications. We're taking them in through.
Closed December 12th.
Did you apply? Is that okay?
Put it out. Use like application goes December 12th. So looking for anybody who wants to be a future change maker. It's free. Leadership 6-month development program. Anyway, so I want them to go on that journey with us to again be active participants in our democracy, active participants in our democratic culture, because that's how we're going to bring about change. That's how we're going to really see at the neighborhood level things change.
Sorry, I'm pointing at the camera.
Oh,
so distracted.
I was like, what? Okay.
Just point at the picture. On that though, I just learned from you this morning that it sounds like we have a time frame on the opening. Do you want to share that?
Oh, well, yes. So what I will say is that we are planning a grand opening celebration, a week-long celebration, late spring 2026, end of spring 2026. And it's going to be a fun celebration. It's not just going to be a, ribbon cutting and open the doors. We want to have vendors and entrepreneurs come to our campus. We want to showcase local businesses. We're going to have some fun concerts, working with some pretty cool musicians and artists now to plan that out. But it'll be a fun time. So come to Chicago. That time is not like this. But more to come at the top of the year. We're going to announce when tickets go on sale and so on and whatnot. But most of the campus is free, short of the 4 exhibit spaces. Everything else across the campus is free and open to the public. So if you want to come and have a picnic on our great lawn, if you want to sit in our park on one of our many 100+ park benches, you can do that. We have free public high-speed Wi-Fi throughout the entire campus.
That's a win. That's a win.
That's a tech thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So again, this is a place where you can just come and be. So hope to see you there.
We love it. Yeah. Wow. As we close, thank you, Josh, for taking the time. Thank you, Midwest House, for giving us a space. Thank you, Bamboo, for this amazing building. And thank all of you. It's a very snowy day. Thank you for joining us this morning and listening to us. And we love you.